Sooner or later, we're all going to forget something important when going to play Airsoft. However, there are ways to avoid that happening to you. The best way is probably to make a list. However, making a list is very difficult, especially a list that applies to as many people as possible. So, what I've chosen to do is make an initialism. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The 5 P's of Airsoft. The 5 P's of Airsoft are the 5 essential groups of items that you need to be able to play Airsoft. Without these 5 things, you cannot play. Now, to clarify, there is a difference between non-essential items and essential items. Obviously, to take all of your non-essential items will be the funnest possible experience, but you can still play without those things. For an example, having your tracer unit is going to be a lot of fun, but you're still going to be able to play without it. So that would not be included in this list of essentials. Now, one thing to remember, I'm going to be going through all 5 of the P's, but the items that I'm showing are not necessarily everything that is essential for you. So these are more 5 categories or groups rather than the specific things that you need, because you're going to go through these 5 P's and think of the things that you specifically need. So use these 5 P's as a basis to help you remember everything that you need. So let's go ahead and get started off with the first P. The first P is protection. Yeah, I know. This is probably the most cliched category on this entire list, but I feel like it's important to have it at the front because it is the most important. You're not going to be able to play Airsoft without your mask, or your goggles, or your glasses, or whatever you use at your field. It's also really important because some fields require full face protection, so you need to make sure this is your top priority to bring, and that's why it's the first P on the list. Now, it is possible that it might be overshadowed by the 5th P as being the most important, but we'll get to that when we get there. So now we're ready to move on to number 2. The second P is your projectiles. You can't sling BBs without having BBs to sling. So this includes, obviously, your BBs, but we also have all of the speed loaders that we need to load the guns we're bringing. This is a speed loader adapter for my gas blowback Uzi. Of course, we have a little adapter inside of here, which goes to my G5 and all my GHK guns. And of course, we have an AEG AK magazine adapter for the Sidewinder, if we're going to be bringing AK mags. Additionally, if you have a tag-in launcher or equivalent, make sure that you bring whatever shells or projectiles that you need to go with your launcher. And now we can move on to the third P, which is power sources. Power sources is another broad category, but it should be pretty straightforward based on the guns you're bringing. It includes everything from green gas and propane and CO2 to your batteries for your AEGs. But if you want to, go ahead and extend this category to be batteries for your gear, maybe even a charger for your AEG batteries, depending on how long the game that you're going to is. Also, I like to include into this category the adapters for my propane tank, or if you have a CO2 adapter, I like to include both of those in this category. How are you gonna pew if you ain't got no Pew Pews to pew with? That is number 4, bring your Pew Pews. Now, I know I've said this with pretty much every single item on the list, but this is the point of the list, right? These are the essentials. These are the most important things that you can bring, that you must bring to play Airsoft. And Pew Pews are no exception. It is possible to forget your guns. In this category, we're including everything from the guns themselves to the magazines to go with them. If you have a grenade launcher, make sure you're bringing your shells. Not the projectiles, the shells that are going to shoot the projectiles. And if you're using an AEG, we're also including any battery adapters, connector adapters, that you may need for your gun to operate based on the batteries you're bringing. So I know that was a simple one, but don't forget your Pew Pew, okay? Now, moving on to number 5, which is probably the most important thing on this list, like everything else that's on this list. Number 5 is payment. Don't forget your money, because if you don't have admission, you're not going to be admitted. And arguably, your payment is the most important thing to have on you, because everything else can potentially be purchased at the field, either from the pro shop if they have one, or maybe even from other players. If you need, maybe someone has an extra set of goggles or glasses, or maybe someone has extra magazines or extra BBs. I mean, they might not, but at the very least, if they do, with money, you can buy it. And then most importantly, when I say money, I mean cash. So sometimes the internet connection goes down, so you can't use the card machines. Some pro shops don't accept cards at all. It's just safest to always bring cash with you. And that would be mostly number 5. Now, what I'm also tacking on here is your phone. And I know I just said to make sure you bring cash just in case systems go down, but it's also nice to have your phone because it's hooked up potentially, if you have this set up for yourself, Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever it is that you have, you're going to be able to still buy things using those systems. Maybe to be able to PayPal someone money, whatever it may be, you have that option available. And kind of side tacking a note on here, I know this really doesn't belong under payment, but I just want to throw this in here as another reason to always have your phone on you in the field. You never know when something bad's going to happen. If you're injured or someone else is injured, it's always a good idea to have your phone on you, but hopefully with GPS or something so that you're not stranded, especially if you're on a big field. It's very possible to get seriously injured. So make sure that you have your phone on you, preferably in a zippered pouch so that it doesn't fall out. Same thing goes for your money and your wallet. Whatever you want to bring on the field with you is up to you. But those are some of my thoughts. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this list. I know it's super broad. The points, I was trying to keep them as broad as possible so that they apply to everybody. And this list is more of a building blocks system. You're going to use these building blocks to decide what you need to bring for the field that you're playing at, for your play style, for whatever you're doing. These are what you yourself need. So this has been the 5 Ps, and to reiterate, we have protection, projectiles, power sources, pew pews, and payment. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the list. It's been quite a project for me to come up with 5 words that begin with the letter P that could be on this list and actually work. So I hope you guys appreciated it. If you have any other things to add on to the list, any other essentials, or even some non-essentials that you think could be thrown in there somewhere, let me know in the comments below. If you have any other thoughts about the things that I mentioned in this video, just let me know. Until the next video, stay safe, guys.